All right. Welcome, everybody, to Traction Thursday. It is my pleasure to introduce Anka today, who's going to talk about business, nomadic business from Mongolia. So let's give her a warm Traction Thursday welcome.
Well, hi, everyone. I'm Anka, and I'm so happy to meet you here today. And I'm from Mongolia. I'm an MBA student at the Maharishi International University. This is my last on-campus course. Starting from next month, I will be searching for a job. And today, I'm going to talk about my story and work with the United Nations. And also, I will introduce Mongolia a bit. All right, so before I dive into the projects I work at, I would like to introduce the country where I came from. So I'm so glad Carrie said that you've been in Mongolia.
No, just a nomad.
Just a nomad. All right. So
Sorry, Egypt.
I see Egypt. All right. So has anyone been in Mongolia or know about Mongolia here? No. Okay, which is good. So I'm going to introduce a bit. So Mongolia is located between Russia and China, and sandwiched by two giants. And we are the 18th largest country in the world by the land size. It says 579,000 square miles, which is like twice of the Texas. So despite it's the a land size, we only have 3.3 million people as a whole population. So 65% of the whole population is under the age of 35. So we are quite young and dynamic country. So our economy is driven by the mining, cashmere, and meat products. So not many people know that Mongolia produces 40% of the cashmere, like a world cashmere alone. So we are quite famous by the cashmere products. And also we have a very strong a nomadic tradition with the 60 million livestock. And when I just came to the Mongolia, when I just came to the America, I was quite surprised by the meat price named grass-fed meat. In Mongolia, the 60 million livestock freely grazing on the open pasture lands. We don't have a concept of, a grain-fed meat. So everything is quite organic. So this is about a kind of Mongolia, and I would like to show a small video, a short video to visualize better about the Mongolia.
Mongolia, the land of eternal blue sky. The people of the eternal blue sky live here. We, nomads, worship the sky. The history of our nomad heritage starts at the beginning of time. The wolf and deer are our earliest ancestors that came from outer space. This is the first story of the origin of the Mongolian people. The first state was founded by the Mongols. We are called the Mongols of Genghis Khan. We are horsemen. The nomadic way of life expresses 4 seasons. Spring is a time of birth, summer of sunshine. Autumn is a sunset, and the winter is the season of freshness. Our movement is the movement of the earth. It is about space and time. The settlements we have established are of temples and cities. This is the land of sacred creation. The golden Soyombo moves around the sacred Dharma. We have cities with a contemporary culture. The capital city of Mongolia is called Ulaanbaatar. It has a history of centuries, with modern schools, cultural and entertainment venues, and factories producing leather, wool, and cashmere products. Mongolians, our goal is to love and save the world. We love and protect the nature and keep it sacred. Mongolians live in the heart of Asia.
So this is about like a Mongolia, and about my journey, I'm quite passionate about making a positive change in the society. So I started my career as a volunteer, community engagement volunteer, both in Mongolia and United Kingdom, and therefore, it led me to work with the United Nations as an intern. So I started as an intern at the United Nations migration agency called IOM, International Organization for Migration, and I later became senior project staff, and I was in charge of assisted voluntary return and reintegration program. So the International Organization for Migration is mainly a focus on the migration issues worldwide. And then this AVRR, we call it like AVRR program, Assisted Voluntary Return and Reintegration Program. And this program is one of the core program of IOM, which has been implemented in 1979 worldwide. And the aims to help stranded migrants to return home. And then it's a kind of like a packaged program. It will give the pre-departure counseling and also the transportation cost, and offers the reintegration assistance to start small businesses and so on. So IOM Mongolia office has supported over 9,000 Mongolians return home, and out of these 4,000 have received their reintegration assistance. The majority of them came from the European countries, and the funding comes from the ascending countries as well as the IOM itself. So the number of men and women, the ratio was quite similar, like a 49 to 51%. And they all started from the scratch. So it was quite challenging for them to start the small businesses. So we structured our program at the individual, community, and structure levels. And we work closely with the migrants for 9 to 12 months to help them, economically self-sufficient, and also the access the social and public services, and also the psychosocial well-being. So then I had an opportunity to work with the 3,000 migrants for the last 9 years, and the majority of them, opened the businesses like e-commerce, delivery businesses, and coffee shops, and sewing business, and grocery business, and canteen food business, and cleaning businesses, and so on. So because they started these businesses based on the skills they acquired abroad, so those businesses mostly opened in the urban areas. And also the financial support wasn't that big enough to make a big businesses, so it's kind of just like a seed money to start something small. So they opened these businesses. And now I also wanted to show the one video, which is one of the beneficiary video, who was stranded during the COVID-19 pandemic in Czech Republic, and he came through the assisted voluntary return and reintegration program during the COVID, and he started the car service business in the outskirts of the city. So he used the financial support for purchasing the essential equipment and tools for the car services, and also they rented the garage outskirt area of the city.
Намайг Шарвч онцгийн одоо иргэдэг бүгд намжих чайх усаас 2020 оны 1 сарын 18-нд IOM олон улсын шижит хөдөлгөөний байгууллагын тусламжтайгаар би Монгол улсад ирсэн. Ерөнхийдөө бол би Монголдо ирээд агүй их олон зүйлийг бүтээхийг бодсон боловч арай жоохон миний чадал жоохон татаад байна. Тэгсэн мөртлөө би нэг өөрийн тодорхой хэмжээнд ийм нэг хувийн кузов засвар буюу гараж нээсэн байгаа. Ерөнхийдөө би Чех улсад ерөнхийдөө жил гарны хугацаанд байсан. Тухайн үед бол агүй маш олон зүйл ажил хийж байсан. Жишээ нь бол машины кузов засварын би бодгийн үйлдвэрт байлаа, гутлын үйлдвэрт ажиллаж байлаа, механикийн үйлдвэр болон бас модны үйлдвэрт ажиллаж амьдарч байсан. Хүний нутагт бол ажиллахад бол жоохон хөндлөл байдгийн байлээ. Заримд нь гологдож үзсэн, заримд нь сайшаагдаж үзсэн. Айгу гой зүйлүүд ихэд юм байлээ. Бодгийн үйлдвэрт ажиллаж байхад бол халагцсан шалтгаан гэх юм бол мастераас нь илүү төрүүлээд бодчихсон чинь 3 хоногийн ажлыг 1 хоногт нь хийчихсэн чинь арай тэгээд нэг халагчсан түүх байдгийн Португас гэдэг нэг хотод бол ерөнхийдөө миний амьдралд олон улсын шиж төлөвлөгөө буюу IOM байгууллага надад туссанд нь би бол амар их талархаж байгаа. Тэнгүүд би одоо өөр ингэсэн орон зайгаа ингээд бий болгоод ард иргэдтэй үйлчлээд явж байна. Өөрийнхөө амьдралд бас хэрэгтэй бас нэг 5 орон зайс цуглуулж байгаа. Дээш нь бас те нэг хэдэн давхар барилга барьчих ч юм уу, хэдэн давхар гаражтай болчих ч юм билээ тийм үү. Ер нь бол хүн бол элэг бүтэн байх нь хамгийн гол чухал үндэс юм байна. Хүний нутагт гадаад ажиллаад мөнгө олоод Монголдо ирээд тодорхой хэмжээний нэг үйлдвэр аж ахуйн нэгж байгуулга хийлээ гэж бодсноос илүү Монгол улстай зүгээр байж хагаад тодорхой хэмжээний хоримтлал үүсгээд жоохон ингээд хөгжил өгөх юм бол гадаад орноос илүү манай Монгол улс хамаагүй дээр юм байна гэдгийг л агүй их ойлгосон. 2 охиндоо нэг хүүдээ ууз чадахгүй ч гэсэндээ таадад ирээд чи агүй гоё юм хийхийг бүтээх гээд одоо энэ гаражийг ажиллуулад агүй их гоё юм болгож байна. Миний Монголын залуучууд элэг бүтэн байхаас айл гэж хэлээ да.
So this is like a part of my job, like I help them to have the small businesses. So luckily, like I worked with the 3,000 migrants. So what I work at is like I work closely together for 9 to 12 months to become economically self-sufficient, and then I revisit them after like 12 to 12 months or like 1 or 2 years later to see the like a program impact and also how is their work going and so on. So so that like at the individual level, only like at the 3,000 businesses, like 30% of them quite successful at the long term, and then it was kind of like they were quite passionate about the business they were doing. And also, like as just Stephen Arcovy explained it, like the 7 habits of highly effective people, like somehow they have like built that kind of habits. So they went to, some of them went to, like Shark Tank, the TV shows, and then they got some additional funding and mentorship, and they also were able to access that Sharks like a network, so that they have built like a win-win partnership, so that thing helped them to enhance their businesses quite a lot. And they also during the visits they also always say that, okay, this is not easy, working and opening the businesses. Instead of that, maybe I could be hired somewhere else, but it took a lot of time. And they try to make a businesses as a supply chain businesses, so that their businesses could be more sustainable. So how they we ask a lot of questions, and each year and year by year we can see the pattern that how they're going to build the supply chain the scheme or system. So they were saying that if there is networking events, if they have a place to talk, they can build the supply chain system. So through this discussions and networking events, they can get the loan opportunities, and they know and they learn from each other and make the businesses great. So that really helps their businesses. So and also in addition to that, we developed the 8 online training because the Mongolia is quite a big area, and we can't always have this kind of meetings, the networking events. So these 8 the online trainings helped them to understand the local needs, because we coordinated with the business owners and also the subject expert. So it's not only helped migrants to understand local needs and start the sustainable businesses, but also it was helped the general public. So those are really good delivered. And now, I understand this is kind of an event we're going to network, right? So I would like to distribute the.
Could we pause for just for some quick questions before we do the networking?
Yeah, if you have a question, please ask.
I actually have. First, let's thank you for that.
Thank you. And it's not going to, through this, activity, I will explain more things. And, yeah.
Okay. But I have a question about funding. Funding seems to be a real challenge here in the United States, and especially here in Iowa for startup businesses. How is funding enabled in Mongolia? If I were to start a business in Mongolia, do you have investment firms? Do you have federal programs or governmental programs to support the small business? Mm-hmm.
That was quite a challenging thing for Mongolia as well too, because we have only the banks, and banks' loan rate is quite high, and we don't have we have kind of investments, but it's not working as we expected. So for these startups, how they enhance their business was they got the seed money from us, and then they just purchased the essential tools and equipment, and then they once they operate 1 or 2 years in term, and then they can show the bank they have some kind of income, so that they can get a loan, but again the interest rate is quite high. So they usually go to the incubators as well, but they're also, but still, if you proactively, searching the opportunities, they get some funding from that incubators, and the small business loans and this kind of financial institutes. So they're also through the community event, or that this kind of a supply chain matters. Sometimes they work as a binding agreement. All right, so I don't need to pay it now, and then I can deliver the goods, and then it's kind of that way also goes
Sort of an honor system.
Exactly.
Once I sell the goods, I'll pay you for the okay.
honor system, yeah. So
Good.
that really kind of like helps them.
Interesting. Other questions? Yep.
Not really a question. Oh, sorry. It's not really a question, but there's a lot of countries where this is a problem, and they talk about brain drain and all that. And of course, there's a tremendous number of people who send money back to their home countries. And when people come to the U.S., for example, to apply to our computer programming thing, they have to imply that they're coming back, but actually very few come back. So these countries have quotas of how many people they'll let go. A lot of countries benefit from this money sent back, but I think what you're doing is possibly clonable to serve other countries. You know, once you get infrastructure like this, I think you could inspire or maybe expand your business to serve other countries this way. Something to think about.
Thank you. And
Hi. So actually, when I was a kid, I used to live abroad in a country called Mozambique. And what I immediately noticed, the similarities is both were former communist countries, ending because of the fall of the USSR. How has that history impacted Mongolia as of today when you look back? And I'm sure you've probably heard stories from older family members, friends, etc., of transitioning from communism into capitalism only in the last 25, 30 years.
thank you for the questions and comments. Before answering the question, yes, that's like a brain drain, right? Like this concept is quite the hot topic among the government officials. So the 3.3 millions, we are like a 3.3 million people, and then about over 2,000 Mongolians living abroad for long term. And the big country, the people Mongolians go to is South Korea, Japan, and America, and other European countries. So, yeah, 5% of the global, a GDP is remittance we are sending back to the Mongolia. That really, 5% of the GDP. So it's not that much, but still, it's a significant. So it is there are push and pull factors, and then we're trying to make good showcases and the businesses, and there are some businesses really succeeding. And that is okay, this is really could happen because they learned and they acquired the skills while they were working abroad, and then that bringing back to Mongolia and making the businesses. For the George's questions, yes, Mongolia has a very unique a history, and we have a communist and that the Russian influenced a lot. And I remember even I'm kind of a part of that part. I was standing in the queue and then getting the product and the stores and shops. They had really they don't have to they didn't have the products to sell. So it was kind of a difficult time at that time. So now everything has changed. But our mindset is a half sovereign, half a democratic. It's a kind of we were influenced by the Russian culture as well as the Chinese culture, not a fully, Asian, not a European. It's a kind of a half-half. So that really, affected our mindset. And yeah, so, but in our, school, and education, even economy, market, and everything, it's kind of planning things accordingly. Somehow it's maybe influenced by Russian, that Soviet thing. So, but now we have 65% of the people are youth, so quite dynamic and open to, eager to learn things and apply their knowledges and make the value-added things. So.
That's interesting. You ready to try this activity?
Yeah, before, go back, just starting the activity, I should explain one important aspect of being nomadic. So nomadic is we have a concept like a giving is receiving. So giving is receiving is like, it just seemed like the MIU, like a Maharishi Guru said that when two people meet with the intention of receiving, both wait to receive, and nobody gives and no one receives it. So, but when two people meet with the both of like a, intention of giving, and both give and both receive. So that's the same concept we as a nomad people, like I think. So why is that is as a nomadic family, they live far from each other, and the closest neighbor is like 20 to 25 miles. So they live extremely remote areas, and then they are completely like a mercy of nature. So if like they have, heavy snowfalls, sudden floods, or raging storms can devastate the nomadic family. So today, the stranger who needs help, but tomorrow it could be you. That's why it's like a giving is a receiving. So this is like our really strong concept. So now we are going to do the one activity together and network as a learn.
I'll pass it out.
Yes, please. Thank you. And let's do this activity, and then learn how nomad neighbors network. Okay, because they are quite straightforward and busy people. And so it's the similar concept, like a giving is receiving. So please work as a pair who is closest to you. So if you don't know that person, that would be great.
So this is not a new idea, but it has to do with kind of a mastermind group, which is a term a lot of people are familiar with. And that is, I don't know if those of you were here when we had the woman who came in with the kind of almond milk product. That poor girl got out here with more ideas than you could ever do. And this room, I'm sure, is full of lots of genius and experience that would support any business. And my thought is a group of people that would gather based on someone coming in. They basically would get a diagnosis. Okay, this is where we hear where your business is. And based on that diagnosis, we pull from a pantheon of various people in town who have expertise of various kinds. And we say, look, we think these are the 4 or 5 people that you should have in the room at the same time. And those people come together. And how do we get those people together? Each of those people has kind of a consulting rate they maybe would charge. We come up with an hourly rate for this group. Let's say it's $150 or $200 or $300, whatever. That entrepreneur gets the attention of people with years and years and years of experience looking at their business. Why do we get them in the room? Because every one of those entrepreneurs cares about some kind of cause. So what we tell them is, you're not going to get paid, but your organization that you care about is going to get paid. You're going to donate to some organization you care about. Based on your consulting rate, it's going to go to that organization. So that's how we draw them in. So what happens is you have this incredible group of retirees or whoever, non-retirees, people have expertise in different things. You basically come into this mastermind, you get a prescription. Yeah, cool, I see where you are. But you need a marketing person, you need an accounting expert, you need one of these guys, you need to talk to somebody who knows farms, whatever. You need this group talking about you, sitting with you, and they will help you go big. And you're going to pay them this amount, and you're going to get hot dog expertise, and all those guys are going to get something for their nonprofit. That's it.
What a deal. Mm-hmm. All right.
Thank you.
Anybody else? What else did you learn while you were networking with others? Anybody want to share one? We have time for 2 more people. Here we go.
All right. So I was just talking here. Remind me again. Tej, yes. Found out, so I'm building something called a new Atlantis Earth School with a friend of mine that we have a pretty big following on Instagram. And it's just like essentially every product or service that you would ever need, but in alignment with nature in a way that supports the earth that we live on, and also gives the teachings of kind of like what is outlined here in terms of like giving is receiving, and like a model that supports one another, supports the planet, and everybody can benefit from at the same time. And then found out that he's actually doing the same thing, more or less, with his own kind of Kundalini Kriya Yoga lineage school that he's a part of. And, it would, right now it's online, but it would eventually be also a physical center. And it was just like immediately, it seems that this is just what, synergizing everybody kind of wants to do. But it's like, how do we create the means for that in a society that's not really like based to benefit like the whole, but more so like the individuals at the top that are able to conquer and dominate. So, but the people like us that are here, we all want to create a society like that. So creating a platform and a network of networks where everyone can do that. And it just seems to like kind of fall into place very easily when people are coming from that like lens of how can we support one another and support nature.
Giving is receiving. Giving is receiving. That's very interesting that dynamic happened while you're networking. The benefit of networking, right, Anka?
Yes, exactly.
This is the second day in Iowa.
Second day he's in Iowa. He's already making connections.
To show that like, without this space or the mindset of these people, none of this beautiful, amazing stuff can happen.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
I agree with that.
Thank you to all.
And thank you very much.
You go with the whole, we're not tricking them, we're just going to kind of rebrand it like they do everything else.
Like a mastermind, right? Yeah.
We have one more person to share something you learned networking with another person here. One more. There we go.
Well, I don't need that, but yeah, I just learned from this wonderful gentleman that he's involved in bread and health, gut microbiome, etc. And the main point I'm seeing in your face and in what you expressed is that he loves the business. He loves, he does what he loves what he does. And I think the business will continue to grow tremendously because you really have your heart in it. So that's what I hear from the other folks. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much.
We've got to have the microphone for the television. It's being recorded. So Anka, you want to make some concluding remarks?
Well, and thank you so much. And now you have mastered, like art of networking as like a nomad. And you can go and conquer the world as Genghis Khan did.
There you go. Thank you very much, Anka, for facilitating that.